Hi everyone, welcome to RPA Explorers channel.
I hope you guys are doing good. In today's video, we are going to see about skill automation, which is same as attended and unattended automations. And in skill automation, you can build a reusable component or you can have a pre-built automation which can be reused in different automations. For example, you have some common activity which can be used on a different project. You can create that as a skill. For example, logging into an application, logging out, sending an email, creating a report, and so on. Create skills for such activity. Make use of it in a different automations just by providing the required input parameters. And currently I'm in ServiceNow documentation, so you can see the definition as well, which is a reusable component which can be used to build a pre-built capabilities for other automation process. We'll go to the studio and see how you can create your skill. Here click on this drop down, create skill, and we have to create your skill. And also you can choose a plugins version from here itself. And for skills, plugin versions are really important when you use them in a different automations. And so I have already created my skill using the latest version. Let's go and check the skills we created. So this is the one which I built. This is a very basic example to understand the concepts of skill, and this video will give you an idea like how you can create your skill, how to pass input parameter and things to be considered while creating it, and how you can make use of them in a different automation. So let's get started. I have already created two different activities, which is check counter and check error. As the name says, it is used to get the counter variable. And this is a very simple example. I have just used only one component expression. I'll give some value. What will give you the incremented value of it? The second one, which is check error, which will check if the bot has any error or not. So in case it does have any error, it just gives us the error message of it. You can also have your custom message. And let's see how did I build the process. So this is the first one, which is check error. And initially when you create your activity, you will have only the start and end component without any initial parameter or ending parameter. To create your skills, you cannot provide a constant value for all the process, because this is going to be used in a different automations. For example, let's take a login scenario. If you log into an application which might have different URL and the respective credentials, and you cannot give the constant URL or the credential, for which you can create an input parameter called input URL, input password, and input username. In that way, when you use that skill in a different automation, you can actually give the value to them and the skill can take the value accordingly. So go to the main and we'll understand this. So I'm going to drag this check error. So you can see that you have an input parameter which is called in bool, output to output parameter, output out error message, and out boolean value. So it means that you have to provide some input boolean value and it will give you an output error message in a string, output boolean value. So let's just double click on it. And all your input parameters should be added in the start component just by clicking on this. And after you add your variable, so you can add n number of input parameter as you need, and make sure you give a meaningful name to your parameter, for which you have to click on this icon at the top, and here you have to change the value. So whatever name you give it, that will be your parameter name. For example, let's call it as input test parameter. And you can also change the type. I'll go with string. Let's click on OK. And if you go to the main, and you can see that the int test parameter is your parameter name. In order to drag the variable to it, just right click on this, click on port properties, select your variable. And also it doesn't mean that you have to create your variable with the same name as parameter name. And I'll select this boolean value, click on OK. Let's click on OK. If you go to the main, you still see the parameter name, not the variable name. So you can have any variable name and make sure you give a meaningful name to your parameters. The same you have to do it for your output parameter. Understand this bot now, and this bot accepts the input boolean value in which you have to give either true. So in order to reproduce an error, I'm just using a decision component. and the value which we give as input parameter is true, then I'm making it to false, and I'm making the vice versa of it. So if we enter true, bot will return as false. If we enter false, then bot should give us the value of true. Boolean value is true, I'm just throwing an error, which is option type is application. You have to pass your message. I'm just passing my input parameter itself. So when the exception occurs, I'll go to the catch section here, and this contains the error message of the current execution. I'm just passing that error message as an output parameter, and also I'm returning the output boolean value which I converted it. Also we'll run and see how we get the output parameter. And whenever the input value is true, it will be changed to false, and it throws an exception. We should have the respective error message as the output parameter. Let's run and check the output. So the execution is completed now, and also we can see that the decision is true and we have an error. We look at the error first. So we have that the decision block failed true. So we can see that component throw error failed to execute in the activity check error. And also we can check the error message over here. So the same error we have it over here as well. So let's check the output parameter, and as expected we have the same error as the output error message. It is true, the value should be false now. This is also the expected output. Let's make it to false and run the execution again. Let's run it now. The execution is completed. Let's look at the data, which should be empty now. So yes, this is empty. And also if you notice that before we are starting the process, we are making the output error message as empty by transforming the data. So when the value is false, it just go over here. As the output error message is empty, we have the same error message. So we have the same in the output parameter, and also the value which is true for the boolean. This is true now. So this is a very basic example, and also we have something called check counter. This is nothing but you have to provide some value. It just can't give the incremented value of it. So I'll give something like 1, can transform it data. So let me give 11, and we'll execute the process now. So this is completed. It should be 12, and yes, we have the expected output. So create your skill and done with your testing. The next step is to publish it to the RPA hub. So you have to click on this publish button. So you have to choose if you are publishing a new package or just a new version of an existing one. I've already published mine in the RPA hub. Let's check this. In the ServiceNow instant, under the workspace, go to RPA hub workspace and click on packages. So in the package type, you have its skills, or you can directly find it from here. So which is called check output parameter. I have this. We have our skills, and also you can check the versions over here. So currently I have 2 versions. In case you want to download it, you can also do it by clicking on it, going to the attachments tab. So once you publish your skill, the next step is to use it in the different automations. So let me open a sample unattended automation. Just test. So open the automation you want to use your skills and go to the skills tab under the design panel, and you have to refresh the skills, and here under the global you will be able to find all the skills from your RPA hub. And currently I have only one skills, which is check output parameters. You can view all the different versions of it. So whichever versions you want to use, you just have to drag and drop it to the respective activity. So I'm going to drag and drop my check counter. Similarly, you can do this check arrow. So in case you have any error after you load your skills, make sure you use the same plugin versions as the skills. So once everything is done, you will be able to load it correctly and see that it is a remote activity, actual package name and the activity name along with its version. So, and below you can provide your input parameter and get all the output parameters. Try to open your skills in an automation. You cannot do that. So this is just a read only. Only when the process is running, you can just see that it try to open your skills in an automation, but you cannot change or edit value. So if you want to make any changes, you have to go to the skills back and publish a new version of it. So this is how you can make use of the skills, and we have seen how to create it, how do we publish it, and how you can make use of them in a different automation projects as well. This is a very basic example to understand the skill. So in the coming videos we'll see how you can work on real time. This is a very big, and also not that every time you have to create your skill. In case you have your reusable activity in a different automation, you can also directly import them. I have already explained in one of my previous video. Make sure you watch that as well. If you guys find my videos useful, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching this video till the end.